However, Mr. Kendish ignores it, walking straight past him without a single glance. Suffering such public humiliation, the president's pride shatters. To make it worse, the vice chairman loudly calls his rival a true legend. The man grips Chun's shoulder and announces for everyone to hear that he cleared a D-rank dungeon in just 20 minutes. Not even professional teams from his own guild have ever set such a record. Both the council president and his cronies are left completely speechless. They can't process how 4 underdogs beat their full 10-man squad's time and cleared a D-rank. Lair! Meanwhile, Chun doesn't even blink. Praise from the most powerful man in the country means nothing to him. Still, he can't help but wonder why such an influential figure came to this academy himself. Anyway, Carl Kendish calmly states that he will remember Chin's name. Then he turns to Gong Lin, the man who invited him. The vice chairman casually remarks that his son is talented too, offering a half-hearted compliment at best. This leaves a bitter taste for both father and son. With that, the vice chairman announces it's time for him to leave. The director quickly steps in to smooth things over. He declares the final results, announcing a tie between the top 2 teams. As a result, they will all receive an official invitation to the Imperial Guild. That news is music to Chun's roommates' ears. They're set for life thanks to his massive carry. President Teen Zalaki celebrates too, but the man himself is far from pleased with this result. Then the director adds that the captains will get management roles in the guild for their leadership, and the $1 million cash prize will be split evenly. Hearing that, both team leaders are visibly stunned. Chun quietly worries that $500,000 won't be enough to clear his debt. He needs to find another way to earn the rest and fulfill his promise to the Myathil Exchange Guild. But that concern might not matter because President Ting openly refuses to accept a tie. He boldly declares a one-on-one duel will decide the true winner. There can only be one champion. That sudden challenge is so shocking it gets the attention of the director and even the vice chairman. Alarmed by his nephew's reckless move, the director urgently tries to talk him into accepting the current outcome instead. The old man explains that a tie is already the best possible result, especially after his earlier embarrassment. He stays calm, assuming our hero will reject such a pointless duel. But my guy instantly accepts the challenge, provided the winner takes the entire $1 million prize. That spicy twist is wild enough to make the vice chairman pause his departure. With that settled, Chun steps forward to face him head-on, ready to settle the score once and for all. It's a testing ceremony at the Awakeners Academy to evaluate the strength and rank of students. The professor calls them one by one to enter a special portal that leads to a room with a specially trained demon heart capable of absorbing and measuring the students' energy. Then it displays their current rank and future potential for the whole academy to see. Most students turn out to be just rank losers. Some are proud to get to rank with high potential. Then the top genius of the academy steps forward. He's the rich heir of the strongest guild and everyone is eager to see his results. He enters the room with the heart, completely confident he'll become the biggest sensation and rank #1 in academy history. He unleashes his power and outside all the students cheer. He gets a high tier to rank with the potential to reach S rank someday. His friends are especially proud, convinced this arrogant guy is a rare talent in the world. One of them even laughs at a humble boy named Chun who's next in line. He's sure Chun will get nothing but disgrace. But Chun just ignores him and steps forward. He enters the room like everyone else, but this time the demon heart is scared. Chun hasn't even used any skills yet, and the heart already shows a high-tier D rank, shocking everyone. Then he uses the weakest skill card he devoured from a monster, and easily reaches C rank. While everyone is still trying to process that, Chun goes even further. He switches to a stronger class card, and now the demon heart starts panicking. The moment he releases his power, a storm forms in the sky. The rank display glitches, showing S rank potential. The professors are shocked, but this is only the beginning. Soon, the single S turns into a triple S rank, and then the system displays an error due to maximum load. Now the professors are genuinely scared and they rush into the testing room. When they enter, the entire room is destroyed. The demon heart is fried, completely shut down. This has never happened before, so they have no idea what just happened. Meanwhile, our boy casually walks out. He actually devoured the demon heart after accidentally overpowering it with his immense power. So, who is Chon really, and why is he so strong? Well, he's a regressor who returned from a future where the entire world was conquered by demons. He was the last survivor, fighting for years until he finally defeated the Demon King by sacrificing himself along with him. And then, after a blinding light, he woke up back in the past in his dorm room. He feels confused and wonders if he has somehow reached the afterlife. But when he looks outside the window and sees people standing there, he slowly starts to realize what has happened. After a moment, it finally hits him that his wish has come true and he has regressed back in time to his university days from 10 years ago. Just then, a strange hologram appears and informs Chon that the integration of the power of gluttony has been completed. As he keeps staring out of the window, he realizes that he now has 3 years left before the first demon lord, Wrath, descends. He remembers clearly that this demon lord was the one responsible for everything that followed. Wrath is the one who opens the gates of hell, and after that, the other demon lords follow one after another into the human world. Our hero decides that he must find the place where Demon Lord Wrath will appear and eliminate him before the gates can even be opened. Once he snaps out of his thoughts, Chon focuses on the interface floating beside him, and it now displays his stats clearly. Our hero wonders if this is some kind of game menu or system, since he never had anything like this in his first life. Back then, he'd only relied on his awakened power, something only 1 in 10,000 people got. The National Awakener University is meant to recruit such potential awakeners. But unfortunately, when Shun was here the last time, he had completely failed to awaken. At that time, he had grown used to being bullied, which explains why he had woken up in the infirmary like this. Just then, the system opens another panel and shows him a lightning-type assassin card, which he instantly recognizes as the class he had obtained in his previous life. The boy gets startled and wonders if he is awakened earlier this time. He quickly decides to test it out, but before he can finish switching to the class, his roommate and friend Ma Long shows up, who is a rank flower chanter. The poor guy has bandages on his cheek and has come to check whether Chun is okay. Luckily, Long cannot see the floating panels, which makes Chun certain that only he is able to see them. His friend starts examining him closely after noticing that all of Chin's injuries have already disappeared. And he wonders how a non-awakener is recovering faster than someone like him who is already awakened. Our boy remembers Long from his previous life. This same roommate had managed to awaken during university, yet he had ended up as one of the weakest awakeners and met a tragic end on the 3rd day. After Wrath's descent, Jun smiles quietly as he looks at his old pal again. Model. Long then reminds him their rank test is tomorrow, and that they both need to get ready. Long feels sorry for his friend, thinking he still hasn't awakened, but he reminds him this rank test is extremely important if he wants to graduate. As they walk through the bustling streets, Chun casually comments it's been a long time since he's seen so many people, which ends up scaring his roommate out of his wits. Chun keeps thinking that if he does nothing this time, they are all fated to face the same miserable future again. Because of that, he decides he needs to train as hard as possible and raise his level quickly. However, there's another problem, since at this point in time, the only way for an awakener to gain experience and level up is by defeating monsters inside demon layers. These layers are completely controlled by the major guilds, which means weaker people or outsiders like him have almost no chance to level up at all. He opens his status window to check his stats, wondering how he stacks up against other awakeners and even the monsters themselves. The government has classified awakeners into ranks, starting from EE and going all the way up to S-class. Jun knows most students at the university are stuck at a rank with only a few barely reaching deer rank at best. He glances at his friend and scoffs internally, feeling confident that he at least outranks him. Just then, a ball suddenly flies in and smacks straight into Long, knocking his glasses off and sending them shattering. It turns out they've run into the bully Gong Chong and his lackeys again, the same guys who roughed them up just yesterday. Chong smirks, asking Long why he didn't bring him a crate of drinks when he knew he was playing here. Long quickly apologizes and is about to buy the drinks with his own money. But Chon steps in and stops him, saying that Chong is the one who should be apologizing. The moment he sees the bully again, Chon is hit with painful memories from his past. Back then, they used to hold his head under the sink water. Instead of feeling guilty, they would claim they were just trying to force his awakening. That day, they only stopped when Shun finally passed out. Long had rushed to check on him at that time, but the moment Chong heard Chon make a sound, he came back just to hurt him more. Now, back in the present, Chun has decided to teach these bullies a proper lesson. After hearing Chun speak up, Chong and his lackeys start moving in again, clearly ready to shut him up for good. Our hero looks straight at Chong, knowing full well this guy only picks on the weak because his older brother is the student council president. As the bully steps closer, the students around them begin to gather, already pitying Chon as they expect him to get thrashed again. When Chong reaches him, he asks again what Chun just said, but Chon calmly repeats that he should stop bothering them from now on. Hearing this, Chong loses his temper and immediately throws a punch at him. This time, though, Chon raises his fist and blocks the attack with ease, even pushing the bully back. Everyone around them is shocked because, as far as they know, Shun hasn't even awakened, yet he just stopped a powerful attack like it was nothing. Chong grows even more furious and rushes in again while Chun calmly prepares himself, switching his class to Electric Assassin. Long stands there stunned as Chong activates his indestructible demon armor and charges forward with a heavy strike. Before he can even get close, Chon dashes in first and smashes him away with a lightning-charged punch. Everyone around can't believe their eyes as the so-called weakling Chun sends the school bully flying with a single punch. Even after getting beaten this badly, Chong refuses to back down and shouts for his minions to step in and get revenge. Meanwhile, his lackeys are already shaken after seeing what Chun just did. Chong forces himself back to his feet and charges at our hero again. But once more, he gets beaten down and slammed away without a chance. Watching their so-called boss get crushed like this, the lackeys quickly realized they stand no chance at all and immediately run for it. Long, who witnesses all of this, is left completely stunned, his mouth hanging open as he struggles to accept that his roommate, who got beaten up yesterday, has suddenly become this strong. Jun, on the other hand, realizes that just like in his past life, he can switch into his assassin state whenever he wants. And even at level 1, his stats are enough to handle low-level awakeners, which means his current rank should be at least D. But there is still one thing he hasn't confirmed yet. Even after defeating someone, the system hasn't given him a level up. Thinking about this, Chon almost goes ahead to finish the bully for good, while everyone around watches in panic. Just at the last moment, the vice president of the student council, Ling Yu, steps in and tells Chon to stop. She reminds him that even if Chung was wrong, this beatdown is more than enough. She promises the bully won't dare to bother him again, and with that, our hero finally decides to let him go. As he backs away, Chun wonders why the student council is so eager to step in and save a guy like Chung. Even though he was just putting on an act and didn't actually mean to finish him, he knows that bullies like these need to be taught a proper lesson. Otherwise, they'll just keep targeting anyone weaker than them, over and over. Chun then walks away with his roommate, while the bullies' lackeys watch from a distance, whispering among themselves that they should never even think of provoking Chirin again. That night, while Elle tries to tell the other roommates how Chun awakened into a ridiculously strong lightning assassin, none of them take him seriously. Long keeps explaining how their once weak friend managed to thrash Chung so badly. But Shang Zuo, an ranked nucleus mage, just laughs it off. Zuo questions why Chun would still be running around training like this if he's suddenly such a big shot. He argues that a real awakener wouldn't need to rely on such basic physical training. Hearing this, their gamer roommate, Shan Yu, comments that from the sound of it, it sounds like Long must have taken a serious hit to the head. Zuo goes on saying the four of them were put in this dorm because they're the weakest of the weak, and nothing they do will ever change that. He boasts that he's the strongest of the four, while Long and Yu are just support chanters. He flexes a bit, telling himself there's no way Chun could have become a lightning assassin. He's feeling more confident than ever, hoping he might even rank up during tomorrow's final graduation test. Meanwhile, Student Council President Gong Ting finishes a training session in an ranked demon lair with Ling Yu. He spots his younger brother still standing there and asks what he's up to. Chun complains that he can't even sleep peacefully as long as the guy who beat him is still around. Chun keeps bugging his brother, insisting he get revenge for him. Ting calmly assures him that he'll handle the mess he created. Later at the dining table, the vice president asks Ting how he plans to handle the situation. Ting asks if the boy is really as strong as his brother claims. Ling Yu points out that he knows there are fewer than 10 D-ranked students in the entire school, and he's already recruited all of them. She adds that others don't even have access to demon lairs like he does, so no average person should be able to stand against him. Meanwhile, Chun is running like crazy, completely drenched in the rain. He sets a target of running 20 full kilometers carrying a bag loaded with 100 kilograms, almost twice his own weight. He knows how important basic training is for raising an awakener's upper limit, since a stronger body is needed to handle higher-level powers. As he runs, he recalls his only family, his sister, who was lost when the Demon King Wrath descended upon the human world. The Demon Lord vanquished countless people in an instant, and he lost his sister right before his eyes. He makes defeating this Demon King his #1 goal, since that moment was the beginning of all the destruction. Chun thinks that if the Demon Lord is already getting stronger, even with 3 years left before his arrival, then he needs to outpace that growth for any chance of winning. Just then, his sister Chuni calls. Hearing her voice again after so long leaves him speechless for a moment. His sister explains she couldn't call earlier because of a competition, adding that their rent problem might be solved if she wins a prize. While she keeps talking, Chun listens quietly with a smile, his resolve strengthening to protect her and give her the life she deserves this time around. After the call, he gets back to training and runs 3 more laps around the university. Once finished, he heads straight for a shower. He feels himself slowly getting used to this younger body and its strong potential for growth. He sits down and thinks about the demon lairs that only the rich can access. To get stronger, he knows he needs to take on monsters somehow. While stuck on this problem, he eventually falls asleep and finds himself pulled into the gluttony system. He lands in a strange place, wondering if this is just some kind of weird dream. Meanwhile, back outside, Long comes looking for Chun, wondering where he suddenly disappeared to. Inside that strange space, Chun sees a massive tower standing before him. But before he can take it all in, a group of ranked cloud warriors, the Shadowhounds, appear as if to greet him. Chun immediately worries he might have stumbled into a demon lair and quickly switches his class. He decides to deal with the monsters first and figure everything else out later, since they appeared out of nowhere. The boy Isali takes down the hounds, all bark and no bite, and collects their loot. He quickly hits level 2 and smiles, thinking he might have lucked out and found a demon lair after all. Just then, a boss monster appears. Chun defeats it just as easily, cutting through it like butter, which lets him level up again. The experience points from the boss are way higher than the normal mobs of the same level he defeated earlier. Right after, the boss monster's body is marked as devourable, making Chun wonder what that even means. He recalls the gluttony power from the system panel and reaches out to test it. The devouring is instant, and the monster is absorbed into a card. Chun is stunned, realizing he can turn defeated monsters into usable classes. He quickly understands this is the same kind of ability the demon lord Lan Yu had. The thought that he now holds a power similar to a demon lord's leaves him shaken. In this world, everyone is born with only a single class. A few rare people might have two, but now Chun could hold as many classes as he wanted. He wonders what he did to gain such an insane power, and what this demonic tower standing before him really is. As these questions pile up, a powerful sensation hits him, and a demon appears holding two S-rank blades. The demon is clearly rank, which means Chun has no real chance of winning against it. Chun knows he's badly outmatched but summons a lightning sword, gambling on a slim chance to survive. Stranger still, the demon standing before him somehow knows his name. As time passes, the demon trades blows with Chun. It's clearly just toying with him, deliberately avoiding vital points while knocking him down again and again. After pushing Chun to his absolute limit, the demon finally speaks, offering him a choice. Stay and guard the demonic tower with it if he wants to live. When Chun refuses, the demon brutally slashes his arm. It threatens to finish him, explaining it only went easy, because Chun is the only one capable of. Reaching this place, the demon asks him to reconsider, but Chun doesn't lose hope and refuses again, despite the danger. He shouts as he powers up, determined to end this, and attacks once more. All this time, he's been studying the demon's movements, learning about the 0.4-second windup before each swing. He knows he can use that tiny window to observe the angle of the monster's wrist and dodge just in time. Furthermore, he's found a 2-second recovery lag that might give him a small but critical opening, while the demon is defenseless. He plans to use that precise moment to aim for its heart. Even after pulling off this risky move, he knows a D rank like him could never truly defeat an S rank. So his main goal is to paralyze the demon just long enough to create a chance to escape. He does exactly that and then bolts toward the only light source he sees, hoping it's an actual exit. However, just as he reaches the light, it vanishes. The demon informs him it was merely an illusion, and that no exit exists here. The demon further explains that this palace isn't actually a demon lair at all. Still, it expresses admiration for how quickly the boy found the flaws in its attacks. The demon reveals itself as the Purgatory Rakshasa and tells Cheon he is indeed the one who can bring hope. As Chun carefully examines the demon's body, he realizes with a jolt that he's seen this exact appearance before on the demon lord Lan Yu. Our hero flashes back to the final battle, the last fight he had before the regression. His opponent was no ordinary demon. During their clash, the creature first transformed into a dragon, then repeatedly switched its class into other terrifying, high-tier monsters. It wielded scorching magma, poisonous vines, and lightning even more powerful than his. But out of all those forms, the one that truly caught his eye was the one that looked exactly like the demon before him now. A chilling realization hits him. Every single transformation must have been part of Demon Lord Lan Yu's ability. Since that power now rests within him, the demon he sees is simply the power of gluttony absorbed inside his body. His sharp deduction genuinely impresses the demon. It calmly states that he is truly worthy of inheriting the power within this entire dimension. Chun frowns, confused by what it means. Suddenly, a golden void key materializes in the demon's hand. This is the only way to enter or leave the giant tower behind it. The demon explains that Demon King Lan Yu consumed countless powerful monsters. Its sacred duty was to guard the tower, which seals away the most indomitable among them. Yet now, it chooses to hand that very key to him. Rakshasa wants him to consume those fiends, grow stronger, and carry out the mission in its place. Confused, Chun asks why a demon would ever help a human. In response, the creature reveals that even in the demon realm, there are righteous beings and wicked ones. One such monster wiped out its entire clan for pure amusement. A twisted game for its own entertainment. Since that day, it has awaited a chance for revenge on that evil fiend. Now it believes it has found the one capable of granting that wish. It tells Chun that someone was right about him being their best hope for vengeance. Immediately asks who that person is. The demon only replies that all answers await inside the tower. Its tone is cryptic as an ancient sage. With its last words, it offers all of its remaining energy to him. In return, the demon tells him that he must become the strongest human alive. It won't be an easy task to overcome every single one of the ferocious beasts lurking inside that tower. Each of those cunning creatures will be a tremendous challenge for him to overcome. The demon delivers its final warning. Only someone with an unyielding hunger to grow stronger deserves Purgatory Rakshasa's power. That is the motivation required to vanquish every demon king in existence. With that, its body compresses into a blazing sphere of energy for Chun to consume. He immediately shoots up 8 levels and acquires 2 of Rakshasa's swords. Without hesitation, he accepts the mission, vowing to carry out the fallen Rakshasa's final wish. On top of the stat boosts, he unlocks the ability to absorb power from fallen humans and demons alike, along with gravity manipulation. By morning, he slowly opens his eyes, waking up in his dorm like any other day. He suddenly bolts upright as a loud voice echoes through the room. His roommates are already up, telling him to get moving if he wants to make it to school on time. Noticing his body is completely unharmed, he wonders if it was all just a bizarre dream. However, his updated stats prove otherwise. Everything carried over. After jumping from level to level 10 overnight, he can't help but wonder what his new rank is. Just then, his roommate starts making fun of him. He brings up how someone was shamelessly praising him the other night, goings on about how cool and insanely powerful he'd supposedly become. Malong quietly peeks from across the room, pretending he had nothing to do with it. Either way, his roommate challenges him to prove it during the ranking assessment, which will decide who gets to keep the title of Dorm King. While heading to school, the self-proclaimed Dorm King proudly informs his so-called subjects that every rank is divided into 3 separate tiers, so even though they're all technically a rank peasants, at least he's a proud mid-tier ranker, placing him above the other bottom-tier losers. He struts around, acting superior because the gap between each tier is supposedly enormous. Fired up and overconfident, the clown claims he feels so strong that he must have advanced a tier since the last assessment. Annoyed, Malong tells Chun to stop messing around and go all out to secure at least a deer rank today. That way, the Dorm King might finally shut his mouth for once. Soon, the boys arrive at school, where everyone is anxiously gathered for the ranking ceremony. The bullies stroll in like they own the campus, trashing anyone who dares to look at them wrong. Even the Dorm King's smug grin vanishes the second he sees them. But just then, the bullies nearly lose their nerve too. Out of nowhere, they start bowing respectfully to Big Bro Chun without hesitation. His roommates slowly begin to realize that maybe what Malong said wasn't complete nonsense after all. Chun ignores the clowns and simply minds his own business. Then a new challenger steps in front of him. The student council officer, Jian, who acts as the school's enforcer, offers him a polite warning. Apparently, the student council president personally sent him to discipline the idiot who dared to lay a hand on his precious little brother. All of Chun's friends immediately scatter and hide. They're terrified of Jian, the enforcer who handles all the dirty work for the student council. President. His roommates can't figure out why the D-rank monster is suddenly targeting Chun. He then steps right into Chun's personal space. The president's loyal lapdog brags that his keen sense of smell lets him judge exactly how strong someone is, and right now, all he smells from him is a pathetic weakling. Amused by the insult, our boy fires back a zinger without hesitation. Jean completely loses it. And the moment he gets called a dog, before a fight can break out, the overgrown pup's master orders him to stand down before they make a public scene. After doing some digging, he discovered his little brother was the one who started the fight. Getting beaten up was simply the consequence of picking a fight with someone way out of his league. With that said, the president shoots him a glare sharper than daggers. But our hero isn't the slightest bit intimidated. At that moment, a professor announces that the rank assessment ceremony is officially beginning, requesting all students to step forward when their name is called. Hearing that, the president tells his lapdog they are leaving. He assumes this was a one-time incident, and Chun won't cause any more problems after their little warning. Watching from high above, a man curiously asks the vice president why she is observing the ranking ceremony today. He wonders if a rookie has caught her eye. The lady smiles faintly, saying, "This year will be quite interesting." Soon, Shangzhou's name is announced. The dorm king feels slightly nervous as he steps through the door. The atmosphere completely shifts on the other side. You see, the assessment is conducted one by one inside a special demon layer. Inside, a demon heart connected to wires measures an awakener's rank and potential by absorbing their energy. When the awakener unleashes their full power, the signal transfers back to Earth, where their assessment result is revealed. The Dorm King's rank turns out to be the same as last time. However, the professor looks confused when his potential takes longer than expected to appear. Malong stares intensely at the fluctuating number. After much suspense, Shangzhou's maximum potential is revealed as only C. The king walks out looking dejected. Realizing all the progress he thought he made was just in his head, his roommates try to comfort him, saying they're all in the same boat anyway. Stuck in a rank with the potential to reach some rank at best. A few moments later, the president's lapdog walks out proudly. He is still a lower D rank, but he has the potential to reach A. Chun's roommates begin to lose all hope, since they have seen nearly 10 students reach D rank already. Even the professors are stunned that so many students have already reached grade D. It is rare for students who can't gain real combat experience to break out of a rank. Excited, they call up the next student, the president who carries everyone's expectations on his shoulders. All eyes turn toward Gongting, the student who is already a guildmaster. As he walks onto the stage, our boy stays calm, however, and patiently waits for the results. Everyone in the academy knows that Gongting was only a lower D rank 2 years ago. The historical record for the highest grade in the academy was a middle D rank, so people wonder if the president will finally raise the bar. Inside the demon lair, the demon heart's eyes slowly open in his presence. The president can't unleash everything he has. However, he carries a burning desire to go out with a bang at the graduation ceremony, carving his name into the history books as number 1. When the professors see his potential great glowing gold, they blink in disbelief. Their suspicions are confirmed as Gongting's high D rank completely blows them away. Not only that, excitement erupts through the crowd at the sight of the first potential S rank in history. The president's lackeys gaze at their boss in awe. Even Chan's roommates burn with jealousy while watching a legend being born before their very eyes. The professors quietly discuss among themselves that the news must be sent to the administration immediately. They need to treat their precious S-rank candidate with the utmost care, making sure he does not leave the country. On top of that, he is the youngest student in the academy involved with the guild. Their school's name is practically guaranteed to dominate the headlines. Observing from above, Principal Yuan Long realizes that Vice President Ling Yu already knew about his potential. That is exactly why she came in person to watch the ceremony. However, she spices things up by saying he was not the only one she came to observe today. Besides the flashy president, there is another student she finds far more intriguing. Right on cue, that very student is the next one to be called onto the stage. Jean gets a bright idea and decides to taunt the mysterious urban legend, urging him not to turn out as another rank loser, just like his roommates. He says they will become a laughingstock if that happens, and it's a disgrace for them to even appear at such a prestigious event in the first place. Long backs up his friend and boldly claims that he will knock everybody's socks off. The crowd stares in pure anticipation as Chun finally enters the demon lair. The demon heart instantly senses intense pressure as Chun approaches. And our hero recalls that the best way for an awakener to secure a solid future is to join a high-ranking guild. He knows that the only path to that goal lies in strong performance during the graduation combat assessment, where candidates must choose members of their liking to form a squad of 10 people. The squad that takes first place receives direct recruitment into the nation's top-tier Imperial Guild. So the purpose of this test stands very clear to everyone watching. Jain begins recruitment and introduces another low-tier D-rank to his boss, while he proudly claims that their party now stands fully complete. He explains that they already have all the D ranks along with the president's brother on their team, so there is no possible way for them to lose first place at all. Jun understands that strong students will eventually gather to form the strongest party, while the weakest will also group together in the same way, which creates the brutal environment of survival of the fittest, where weak links get cast out and eliminated without hesitation. After some time passes, Long starts to feel anxious about why the screen shows no change at all, and the crowd quickly assumes that Chun must be so weak that the system fails to even register his presence properly. Jen then convinces Ting that the remaining students are nothing but trash, so they should just leave without wasting more time here. However, right as they prepare to leave, the screen suddenly flickers and reveals a YE Dear Grank label, which sends the entire crowd into chaos while shock spreads across their faces. The president, along with the student council, also reacts in disbelief at this unexpected result. Yet the system soon detects a strange deviation within the results. It turns out that Chun uses the system to calibrate what his level 10 base stats in his unchanged physical form actually translate into during evaluation. After he sees a D rank, he switches class to the Infernal Doom King, which stands as his weakest devoured class so far. The rank instantly shifts from high D to mid C, which completely blows the crowd away, while the council struggles to believe that the machine still works properly at all. Even the scientists begin to question the situation as they wonder why the results keep changing. And soon they start to suspect that the machine might truly be malfunctioning beyond repair. At that exact moment, an instability appears within the demon heart, and the results deviate once again in a strange manner. Chun notices this and decides to switch to a stronger class. So he becomes the Purgatory Rakshasa. The demon heart becomes anxious while a violent storm rises outside the demon lair, and Jian shouts in confusion. Singh treats it like a celestial omen that signals history rewriting itself since their dorm has produced a divine monster. In the very next moment, the potential flickers to S rank, which leaves both the scientists and President Ting completely stunned at what they just witnessed. However, the system suddenly displays a warning that the user's potential exceeds its maximum load and remains undetectable under current limits. Jane's brain just about freezes as his soul nearly leaves his body from pure shock. As the system begins to break apart under overwhelming pressure, the scientists rush forward in panic to ensure that no harm reaches the student at any cost. But when they finally arrive, they freeze in disbelief as they find a shriveled raisin sitting where the demon heart once existed, since it burned out completely from extreme overuse. It becomes clear that Shun may have scared it a little too much, yet he still ends up devouring it and gains the ability to view anyone's rank, while also receiving warnings about potential dangers nearby. He walks out of the demon lair and feels pleasantly surprised as every person's rank appears before him. But then he quickly notices that the president has hidden his true potential as well, and turns out to be nothing more than a mediocre C rank at best. The scientists walk out in an awkward manner and inform everyone that the demon heart has suffered a heart attack due to extreme strain, so they must suspend further testing for now. They labeled Chun's stats as a probable error and announced that a full report will go to the higher authorities for review. The remaining students receive instructions to return the next day for their assessment, since a new device will be arranged for testing by then without further issues. On the way back, Chin's roommates start to hype him up and treat him like an absolute gigachard. After what he'd just pulled off in front of everyone, Jin clearly fails to handle the jealousy and calls Chun a fraud, while he demands compensation for breaking the machine and wasting the council's time like a sore loser. Just as Chun reaches his patience limit and prepares to fry the guy on the spot, Ting steps in and calls Jian out immediately. The president warns him not to disrespect their teammate, which shocks Jian on the spot. Ting extends his hand, offering the newly revealed powerhouse a spot on his team. All the while, he confidently promises that together, they will shatter the all-time high score, guaranteed. Jin starts freaking out in the background, knowing someone has to get kicked off the team to make room for Chun, and this will definitely cause drama among the guys. According to him, joining Ting's team is a guaranteed first-place ticket. So he begins to question what makes Chun so special when others couldn't even bribe their way onto the roster. He forces himself to swallow his pride and reluctantly welcomes Chun, placing a hesitant hand on his shoulder. Chun immediately slaps his hand away, coldly stating he has zero interest in joining them. This response makes Jian sweat bullets, while Ting simply watches the exchange in stoic silence. Jin snaps at Chun, claiming he has no idea what he's turning down since their team is the undisputed #1 in school. Chun turns his back and walks off, saying it has nothing to do with him and that their group is just too noisy. He tells them not to bother him again. Jian starts to seethe with rage at the humiliating dismissal, and the entire school immediately begins to gossip about Xioni's refusal. Most assume he plans to take first place for himself after that shocking C-rank reveal. The whole school now has a front row seat as the drama unfolds in real time. Meanwhile, Chun's roommates are thoroughly enjoying the humiliated looks on Jian and Ting's faces. After that merciless public rejection, the president calmly tells Jian not to worry, suggesting Chun has his own plans while keeping his cool. At the same time, the principal, who had been watching the whole spectacle, lets out a deep sigh of disappointment that the boys refused to team up. He had hoped they would cooperate and break a new school record. But Ling insists that the situation is far more interesting this way. She explains that Ting grew up with a silver spoon, so he will definitely take this rejection as a declaration of war. She reminds the principal that their president is not someone to be trifled with, especially when his pride takes a hit like this. Jean continues to complain, claiming Chun just has an inflated ego from a fluke C-rank test result, but Ting hints at the possibility that the result might not have been a mistake at all. He admits that even if the chances seem almost non-existent, he still won't allow anyone to take his first-place title from him no matter what. Jin then points out that Chun is likely just a regular student with no real combat experience. In contrast, the council members are elites who have secretly trained inside a demon lair to reach their current level. He suggests personally going to teach Chun a lesson for his insolence, but Ting shuts that idea down, asking if he thinks their president is that petty. Jean immediately realizes his mistake and apologizes, while Ting cancels their karaoke plans and tells Jian to handle things himself. He adds in a cold tone that whatever Jian chooses to do has nothing to do with him. And Jian understands the message loud and clear. About 10 minutes later, an informant approaches Jian and reports that Chun has already left campus, mentioning he needed to go home. He also explains that Chun left without even stopping for food, making the situation even more convenient. Jian treats this as a gift from a bug, excited for the chance to handle him on unfamiliar ground where no one can interfere. As Chun walks across the street, he recalls something from his past life. A top-tier guild once met with disaster while trying to conquer a demon lair within the Saint He country's territory. Inside that lair, they encountered a never-before-seen monster known as Wrath, which completely wiped out the entire team in an instant. The monster then escaped into the human world and wreaked havoc everywhere. And although that memory is incomplete, Chun is determined, forming a plan to locate that same demon lair in this life. To start, Chun needs a large amount of cash, so he heads straight for the Myethil Monster Exchange Center. He recalls that this exchange center, run by the Myethil Guild, becomes the largest material trading hub in the country in the future. In this world, an awakener's strength is judged by the quality of their equipment and weapons. The exchange is the central hub for buying and selling such gear. But for Chun, this place is just a quick way to make cash before he moves on to his real goals. He walks in and shows a few fangs to a broker who eyes them with deep suspicion, asking how a student got his hands on them. Chun calmly explains they were a drop from a monster he defeated. The broker, surprised, says he's never seen one before, but his assistant explains the fangs are from E-class monsters called Beast Sanguine. She recalls records stating they can be used to craft an E-grade cloud-type scepter or ground into powder for other purposes. The arrogant broker cuts her off, dropping the fang on the table and scoffing that an E-grade item is practically worthless. Anyway, he brags that their exchange is a VIP-only system, dealing exclusively with high-status awakeners. He claims to only handle D-grade items and above, which is why he wouldn't recognize a low-tier E-grade item. In his mind, he's complaining about the lack of higher-rank customers and knows dealing with a low-tier newbie won't help his promotion. Calling it a nuisance, he tosses the whole task to his assistant, Lee, without a second thought. As he steps away, she politely hands Chun an envelope of cash and asks if he needs help with anything else. Chun checks the 18 grand and figures it will solve his rent problems for now. He then pulls out the glowing greatsword he got from the Purgatory Raksha set, instantly capturing her attention. Though she's never seen anything like it, she estimates it must be at least B grade, possibly even A grade. The broker returns, scoffing at her claim as fantasy, since I grade items go for around 1 million. He argues that in all his years working here, he's never seen anything even close to an A grade item. Just then, the shop owner arrives and calmly states the item is neither A grade nor B grade. The broker praises his boss's sharp eye, claiming he knew all along that a mere student couldn't possess something so valuable. However, the owner explains the weapon is from the Purgatory lands and reveals it's actually an S-grade item. The broker and his assistants both look like they're about to crash, their faces frozen in disbelief. The owner immediately grabs Chun's hands, warmly welcoming him as an honored guest. He then invites Chun into the VIP room, encouraging him to ask for anything he desires. Meanwhile, Chun is satisfied. The owner, Chinger, has revealed himself, just as he expected. In the VIP room, the guild boss asks how much he wants for the weapon. Our boy immediately says 1 million, surprising him. The boss tells him it could fetch tens of millions, given how extremely valuable it is. But Chun says he just wants to use the greatsword as collateral for a $1 million loan for 1 month. This leaves the man even more stunned, realizing this kid is incredibly sharp and wondering who he really is. Chun continues, saying he'll repay the principal in 30 days and the interest the month after. Before replying, the guild boss asks the assistant to step outside so they can discuss business. Once they're alone, the man says he knows Chun is from the National Awakener University, where seniors are about to graduate. He adds that he knows the graduation test is in 30 days and the prize is 1 million. The man then asks our hero directly if he's absolutely certain he can ace that test. The guild boss puts it all together, realizing Chun is in desperate need of money, and this must be his last resort. In the end, he declares he will lend him 1.5 million immediately, with absolutely no interest. Extending his hand with a smile, he says this will be the start of a beautiful friendship. Chun is speechless. The man reassures him that not a single word of this will leave the room. In return, he simply asks that our boy comes to this guild first for any future trades. Chun thinks to himself that the man figured everything out so easily, yet didn't try to scam him. He now understands why this guild boss becomes a big shot in the future. Chun shakes his hand, thinking he'll need strong allies to ever defeat the Demon Lord. Moments later, the contract is finalized and the money hits his account instantly. The guild boss then asks if he needs to borrow a weapon for the tournament, since he just gave his away. Even though he lacks any S-rank gear, he still has plenty of high-quality and rank equipment to choose from. Jun tells him not to sweat it, then simply summons the other great's word he got earlier, leaving the guild members completely stunned. With that, our guy takes his leave while the guild boss immediately promotes the pink-haired girl to supervisor for landing such a VIP client. Just as Chon is about to leave, he realizes he forgot something and heads back to the counter. A few hours later, he's standing in front of a bus stop. He recalls that in his past life, he struggled immensely to get to the top, and people treated him like dirt. He worked endless shifts just to get by, and the two siblings had to live like strays to make it through each month. Yun managed to get into her dream university back then, but she gave it up, telling herself the campus was too far from her dear brother. In reality, she was afraid of putting more of a financial burden on him. Back in the present, he wonders why she hasn't arrived yet and starts looking around. Just then, a voice calls out to him, calling him an idiot for searching near the entrance instead of the exit, as she pulls along her huge suitcase. She tells him they're broke again because the rent wiped them out. However, our guy just stands there in complete shock, since it has been 7 years since he last saw her. She tells him to help her with her bags. Getting no response, she waves a hand in front of his face, trying to snap him out of his daze. At that moment, Chun suddenly rushes forward and pulls her into a tight hug, taking her by surprise. After a few awkward moments, she uses a forbidden poking technique to break his grip, while lecturing him for nearly crushing her. She says he's been acting super sus lately and wonders if his crush finally rejected him, but he just brushes it off. The two then start walking while she chatters on about her exams. Even so, Chon is more than happy to listen, telling himself he will never let anything happen to her in this life. Meanwhile, in an alley, a few thugs lie in wait. After confirming that our hero will pass through there, Jian tells his goons to lay low until their target shows up, then jump him together. A crazy smile on his face, he tells himself he'll make the guy pay for what he did. One of the thugs asks if they'll get in trouble if things get out of hand. The cloud assassin tells him he initially just wanted to teach that guy a lesson, but the recent encounter really set him off, recalling how Chun utterly humiliated him. He tells the losers to at least leave a piece for him and swears he'll teach our hero a lesson he'll never forget. Jian boasts about how he's the best cloud assassin there is, practically drooling as he imagines the look on his target's face. Back to our hero, Yun points out that he's been acting really strange and wonders if it's because of the exams. She plays it off, saying a weakling like him shouldn't overthink things. His sister reminds him that he always told her to keep going no matter what and leave the rest to fate. Trying to cheer him up, she starts singing a motivational song as they walk into the alley. Jun is pleasantly surprised she noticed the change in him so easily, but realizes she doesn't know he's awakened his powers and is now loaded. Hearing his confident reply that he's fine, she wonders if it's just his male pride talking. Yoon shakes her head, thinking that her brother is finally growing up. Meanwhile, in the distance, one of the thugs tells Jian that there's a girl with their target. That gets the guy extremely excited, since the alley has no cameras and there won't be any witnesses. However, our guy instantly senses their malicious intent and realizes it's those same scumbags from the student council taking out some off-brand earbuds. He places them in his sister's ears and tells her to listen to a song he's gotten into lately. This catches her off guard since he never listens to music, but she goes along with it to understand him better. He then turns around and glares daggers at the scumbags who are slowly closing in. While the music swells in the background, the fight begins as the thugs rush forward. Chun immediately switches to his lightning class, recalling that it's been 7 years since he lost his only family, whom he just reunited with. Filled with rage, he wonders where these guys get their audacity from and dashes forward like a lightning bolt. Our hero smashes his leg into the first one, sending him flying back while the others start to break a sweat. He then charges his fist and delivers free knuckle sandwiches to 3 in a row before finishing. The fourth one with a powerful knee strike. One brave goon tries to attack, but Chun simply grabs his hand and snaps it like a twig. The guy screams in pain only to get a quarter-pounder fist straight to his nose. Seeing his comrades get tossed around, Jian freezes in shock and wonders how on earth our boy became so strong. Chun does not stop there and continues to throw haymakers left and right as he makes his way toward the Cloud Assassin. As he finally reaches him, Jian desperately tries to believe that he is the strongest assassin there is and that he cannot lose. Being the good Samaritan he is, our hero brings him back to reality with a staggering punch that sends him flying back. However, he does not stop there as he rushes forward and unleashes a combo of punches that sends him reeling. The Cloud Assassin rolls across the ground like a tumbleweed on steroids and crashes into a wall. He tries to open his eyes only to see the devil himself staring right at him. Our hero then looks down at Jian, now stripped of his dignity, and reminds him that he already told the piece of trash to stay away. Staring straight into his soul, he asks the clueless fool if he cannot even understand basic human speech. The guy, beaten senseless, can't even feel his legs. Realizing he messed with the wrong person, he barely manages to mumble an apology. Chun shuts him up by grabbing his collar and pressing a dagger right against his face. Mr. Top Assassin sees it clearly in his eyes. There is absolutely zero hesitation to end him. He does not have the aura of a normal student at all. Jian cannot help but wonder what kind of hell could turn a man into a monster like Chun. With cold malice, he tells the guy to remember his words carefully if he does not want a repeat of this nightmare. He will not hesitate to tear them apart the next time they try anything stupid again. That is his final warning to them. Then he adds one more thing for emphasis. If they so much as step within a mile of his sister, he will gladly erase everyone close to them, one by one. After that, he drops the dagger and walks back to Yuni's side before the song even finishes playing. By the end of it, his sister is overwhelmed with emotion. She is moved to tears by the sad and painfully lonely lyrics. She cries, confused about what her brother went through that changed him so much over the years. She even wonders if her support back then was somehow not enough. Determined, she spins around to scold him properly. But she freezes mid-sentence the instant she notices the gift in his hand. The shiny, gold-plated pen she always dreamed of owning is right there in front of her eyes. Yoon blushes bright red with excitement. She can hardly believe her brother bought her the newest holographic magic pen that costs more than their monthly rent. Her adorable reaction warms his heart. Her face makes it obvious she does not want to return it, even if that is the responsible thing to do when they are behind on rent. Hiding his fists behind his back, Chun silently swears to protect his sister's smile this time and make sure she enters her dream school. Back at home, his sister happily spends hours making holographic drawings in the air. Big brother quietly enjoys her homemade ramen and says he is glad she is happy with the gift. Even so, she still worries about him spending so much on her when they do not even have next month's rent covered. He flashes her a proud smile and reveals that their rent for a whole year is already paid. Big brother brags that his little business venture with a friend has been doing great lately, but Union is sharp and shoots him a highly suspicious stare. She is clearly not buying his convenient business story. With that said, she does not push him further. She cannot even remember how much time has passed since her big brother laughed so openly like this. She gently pats him on the shoulder and makes one simple request. Whatever he is secretly doing, he needs to make sure he does not burn himself out. Meanwhile, at a quiet aquarium, President Ting shares some shocking news with his cousin. The best doctors in the city have declared that Mr. Top Assassin is injured beyond recovery. His injuries are so severe, doctors say he will never be the same again. Him fighting Chun was already something the president did not expect, but the horrifying state of his body after the fight is even more shocking. His cousin reacts coldly. She is only disappointed that the number of strong graduate students Joining his team will now be lower. But the president is just as ruthless, replying he will actually perform better without that burdensome NPC weighing him down. Then their uncle, the academy's director of employment, speaks up. Gongan calmly delivers his report on our hero's recent move. His detailed investigation regarding the chaos from the ranking ceremony has finally arrived. There is no doubt about the results. Chun truly ranks higher than the student council president. That revelation catches the former top student completely off guard. The man offers him some serious advice, saying his father requested a vice chairman to evaluate his combat exam, so he must shine the brightest of all. If he somehow fails, the director proposes an alternative solution. The green-haired girl, his uncle's favorite niece, will help his team secure first place. But the council president flatly refuses the offer. He claims he didn't even show his true strength during the assessment. President Ting is confident in his superiority and assures them he will dominate the academy alone. Back at the dorms, our boy washes off after his daily 100-meter run with a weighted backpack. He is completely locked on one goal: winning the $1 million prize in the upcoming graduation exam. It's his only shot at fulfilling his deal with the Myathil Guild's Qingji and building a trade relationship with them. With only a few weeks left, he lies in bed, not to rest, but to keep grinding even in his sleep. But he enters his demon lair, where Demon King Lanu's enormous void tower stands before him. He climbs the long staircase to the entrance without hesitation. His first assessment with the Gravehound King's class reached a respectable mid-tier rank. Meanwhile, the overwhelming strength of his Abyssal Fiend class completely overloaded the system. Even the Demon Heart couldn't properly classify its true potential. The only way to evaluate his remaining classes becomes obvious. He unlocks the Void Tower and decides to test their raw power directly on the battlefield. He steps inside, curious about what kind of intense challenge the tower will throw at him. What he sees inside widens his eyes. He finds himself in a strange dimension, atop a massive white planet floating in space. The moment he takes his first step, he drops to one knee, barely staying upright. In the fallen star wastes, gravity is 10 times stronger than Earth, and Chun feels the crushing pressure. Behind him, the tower entrance completely vanishes. He understands he must defeat the boss to reopen the exit. Before any dangerous beast can ambush him, he needs to adapt quickly. However, a phantom lion prowling nearby isn't willing to grant him that luxury. Left with no other choice, Chun instantly switches to his lightning class. The lion lunges at him, yet he narrowly dodges and drives a precise stab into its shoulder. The beast roars, but the strike proves ineffective, missing any vital points. He quickly realizes his attacks are just as sluggish as his ability to move properly. The phantom lion easily pins him to the ground, showing just how well these monsters have adapted to the extreme gravity. He lets the lion bite his arm for a moment, then quickly switches his class to the Abyssal Fiend. The change provides a different stat boost. He trades some speed for strength and stamina, crucial for close combat. His class change slams the aggressive beast down, immediately flipping the fight in his favor. Rakshasa's ability to manipulate gravity proves invaluable. On a planet with 10 Gs, a 3-time multiplier hits with immense force. In that instant, Chun shows no mercy, crushing the phantom lion into the surface. Afterward, he sprawls across the floor to catch his breath. Gluttony surprises him with a level-up notification. It's then explained that every class receives a star rating. The number of stars indicates how much the stats change when switching to that class. Purgatory Rakshasa has the most stars of his available classes. Despite that, he just struggled immensely against a beer rank phantom lion. It becomes clear he has a long way to go before reaching its potential SSS rank. Next, he's annoyed that Gluttony doesn't even give him the option to devour the creature. This monster was also clearly not the floor boss, since an exit should have appeared. Just then, a massive door opens behind him. Dozens of glowing eyes peer from the darkness. Reality hits him hard. The effort it took to defeat a single phantom lion is nothing compared to what's coming. Countless beer rank monsters pour out, attacking him from every direction. Only now does he fully understand Rakshas's warning. The demon said there are ruthless beasts within the tower, and that his path would be paved with endless pain. But the demon also instructed him to endure, adapt, and grow stronger. Suddenly, Chun jolts awake, feeling as if he'd just escaped the worst nightmare of his life. Everyone else in the room remains deep asleep, totally unaware he'd just experienced the agony of being torn apart by monsters. Our hero finally realizes the Purgatory's Void Tower isn't some shortcut for instant leveling. He is only at the very beginning of a long, grueling, and painful journey. Weeks pass until it's finally time for the Academy's graduation exam. Many VIPs are there to observe the promising new generation of students. New minimum requirements are also announced for team composition, where at least one higher-ranked student must be included in each party. The time for forming teams arrives, and it's announced that all students can now see each other's ranks. This allows everyone to quickly decide who to recruit for their team. The students are arranged by rank from highest to lowest, but Mayong immediately notices something is off. Chun himself is confused to see his name sitting at the very bottom of the list. All eyes turn to him as the others wonder how a once-lost awakener could possibly be at the lowest spot in the class. The jealous students immediately start trash-talking, confident his high rank was just a flaw in the assessment. Still, even they can't deny his strength is real, and having him on their team would definitely boost their scores. Council President Ting remains silent as murmurs circulate about the fool who must be regretting his choice to reject the president's kind offer. The man behind this scheme is his own uncle, Gong Xuan. That snake assumed no one would invite our boy to their party. After seeing him ranked at the very bottom, his wicked plan was simple. If Chun can't even qualify, he won't get a shot at beating the president's party. Flashing back a few hours, the entire classroom practically begged President Ting to let them join his team. They try their best to flatter him, but Chung shuts them down, saying they can only add one more person. Back in the present, all the other students form their teams, leaving only the weakest dorm behind. Long states that they tried asking everyone, but no one wants to join them, since they only have 4 people right now. They can't take part in the graduation test. He then rants that it's extremely suspicious Chun's score was moved to the lowest rank, making him unfit to even participate. Since the selection criteria require at least one high rank, it feels like their group was targeted on purpose. The graduation test is the only way for students to showcase their talent and get scouted by high-level guilds. In the final test, the number of participants determines how many monsters the group will face. So there's no advantage in numbers. That's why no one wants anything to do with the weaklings, as they would only be an extra burden. To make things worse, the 3 lowest-ranked students are all from the same dorm, leaving them completely isolated. Just then, one student calls out to Zuo, telling him they're only missing one person. The guy tries to mess with his head, saying he surely doesn't plan to fail the graduation test by teaming up with his weak dorm mates. Jun realizes that if this continues, there's a high chance they'll all be left out and won't even get to compete. However, the dorm king rejects their offer, saying he will never abandon his roommates. That makes the other group leave in a huff, but he still warns them not to underestimate others. Checking the student list, Long announces that nearly everyone has already formed their teams. They only need one more person, but no one is willing to join. Meanwhile, our boy stares at the director and realizes the man shares the same family name as the student council president. Seeing such underhanded tactics, Chun wonders if Gong Xuan really thinks he's that big of a threat. Not losing hope, he declares he will definitely take part in the exam and activates his lightning ability since the others are being so blatant with their hostility. He tells himself there's no need to hold back either, his aura flaring like a pro's. He steps forward while the officials in charge are surprised by the sudden display of power. Even his dorm mates start to wonder what's going on. Our hero recalls that all Awakener schools have a special custom. To create a competitive environment, students can challenge anyone at any time. Even though it might look like showing off, this is a way to display one's strength and get noticed. In situations like this, many people would refuse to fight in the first place. However, he knows the student council president won't back down. So as long as he defeats the blondie, everyone will want to team up with him. Just then, a girl appears at the door and calls out to our hero, asking if he still needs a team member. She continues, saying she also wants to take part in this year's graduation test. The vice president adds that she knew Dank back in middle school, so she won't let him down. His doormates go crazy, wondering how he managed to get such a gorgeous girl on his side. Chung and Ting look totally confused, wondering what's going on, while the director nearly chokes on his water. The students start gossiping, wondering why an exchange student would join the lowest-ranked team. No one really knows who she is, but rumor has it she's from the Saint Kingdom. The director nearly blows a fuse, telling her that exchange students can't participate in the school's graduation test. He adds that Ling has never even taken a ranked test here. She hasn't proven her rank, which is against the rules. Then, out of nowhere, the principal appears and agrees with the director. Gong nearly has a heart attack when he sees the old man. But the principal asks why Ling wants to join the test, since she's only here for a short time. Meanwhile, our boy is caught off guard, wondering how the principal just teleported since he was a warrior class. The old man explains it wouldn't be fair to the others if she joins, and she just plays along. Chun starts sweating, realizing he can't even tell what rank these two are. The director finally musters the courage to support the principal, saying a school can't function without rules. The principal then changes his tone, explaining the school's purpose is to help awakeners achieve great things. While the graduation test is a tradition, it's also one of the most important moments in a student's life. He asks if a student can't participate due to a sudden rule change. How will the school make up for that loss? The director starts sweating bullets, wondering if he's finally been exposed. He wonders if the principal is doing all this just for that kid. Realizing it's not worth the trouble, he decides to back down. The guy tells himself that since the strongest students already formed one team, they should easily win anyway. He bows to the principal, apologizing and admitting they overlooked how the system could hold some students back. The director then announces that to ensure fairness, even lower-ranked teams and groups with less than 5 members can now participate. The 4 doormates finally form their team, celebrating that they can now join the graduation test. Sitting in the back, the principal tells Ling she seems way too interested in the kid. On one side of the test, the student council president leads the strongest players. On the other, Chun leads the 3 weakest. This makes the old man curious about which cave they'll choose and how many points they'll score. The official announces that all captain may now choose which devil cave to enter. Just then, his tablet dings, catching him off guard. A captain has already chosen. Everyone loses their minds when they see Chun's selection. His doormates panic, telling him to change his mind quick. They ask if he even gets what he just did. But our boy stays silent, still staring at the screen. During the graduation test, teams enter a devil's cave and earn points by defeating monsters. Defeating monster lords and fast completion times give separate points, and the dungeon's difficulty multiplies the total. An F-rank dungeon can give up to 75 points, while an O-rank can give up to 100 points. The team with the highest score gets scouted by the Imperial Guild, and the top player receives a 1 million yuan reward. Back in the selection room, students recalled the all-time high score was 90 points, set by the current Imperial Guild leader. Even clearing an A-rank dungeon requires at least 3 solid D-rank fighters. This year, Ting's team might actually surpass that record. The display dings, informing everyone that a devil's cave has been chosen. The guy is shocked to see our boy chose a D-rank dungeon. No one's ever cleared a D-rank dungeon, and everyone wonders if it was a mistake. Long asks our hero if he hit his head, while the dorm king completely loses it. The nerd tries to talk some sense into Chin, but he reveals he thought long and hard about this. The system dings again as the student council president also selects the D-rank cave. Ting's teammates immediately accept their leader's choice, qualifying them for the test. The class goes wild at the announcement as the group tries to act cool. The blonde goth girl roasts our boy for trying to act tough, assuming he just wants attention. The bald guy adds that his weak teammates would never agree to this, and the team will just fall apart. Long studies Chon's face and realizes he's being completely serious. He wonders when his friend became this strong and how much he's changed. After making up his mind, the nerd hits the confirm button, deciding to trust his friend. Yeol also hits the green button since he feels like he has nothing to lose. The dorm king gets annoyed that the two made their choice before him and slams the button too. With that, the system officially qualifies their team for the test. Looking at his dorm mates, Chun apologizes, revealing he chose this dungeon because he wants to become the top scorer. He realizes he's dragging them into his dream, but reassures them they'll reach the top together. Hearing his words, the president suddenly stands up, declaring the top spot belongs to him alone. Chan turns and faces him head-on. Ping releases an intimidating aura, stating there can only be one strongest student in the entire school. Standing in the back, Ling is surprised. It's the first time she's seen such strong emotions from him. Their rivalry is now out in the open. The principal feels proud of the student's fearlessness, but Ling feels uneasy that our boy chose a D rank cave, which even a C rank can't clear alone. Even though a student can earn 150 points from a D rank cave, the difficulty's way too high. On top of that, his teammates aren't exactly a perfect match for it either. The principal adds that, with only about a month left, it's impossible for them to improve enough in such a short time. Even so, he still hopes for the best. Fast forward 2 weeks to the training grounds, where everyone is wiped out on the floor. Long asks why they're doing physical training while everyone else is using simulation training. Chun made them go through all kinds of exercises, leaving them extremely frustrated. Our hero explains that simulation training is no real help at all. When you enter a devil cave for the first time, your mind goes blank. The only thing that saves you are your instincts. All this training is meant to improve their physical strength so they can move faster and react better. The best training would be to enter a real dungeon for actual experience. But commoners like them can only dream of that. Only the elites get those opportunities, and they were never ordinary to begin with. Even then, those elites will do everything they can to keep commoners from catching up, so they can stay on top. Those guys have access to resources that commoners spend their entire lives trying to get. The dorm king then asks what ordinary people are supposed to do. Chun reveals his plan. If they can just manage to enter the Imperial Guild, then they can change the entire system. The graduation test is the only chance for anyone to truly surpass the elites. Since that's his dream, Chan swears to do everything he can to make good on his promise. They will definitely win. With only half a month left until the graduation exam, our boy grinds inside the Void Tower every single night. Defeating the Phantom Lions is no easy task, but he refuses to quit, no matter how hard they slam him around. 5 days before the exam, his roommates are training with everything they've got. Our boy, however, is on a completely different level. His insane regimen makes the Hashira training arc look like a warm-up. With just 2 days left, his rival clearly isn't slacking on training either. But Chon is improving at an even faster rate, and now he can confidently hold his own against an entire pack of lions under crushing gravity. With grime streaking down his face, he has never looked more prepared to win. On the day of the exam, a small drone floats with the participants, acting as their guide. The boys walk in dressed in matching outfits, looking sharp as hell. Once all participants put on their wristbands, the exam officially begins. Meanwhile, the academy principal warmly greets Gong Lin. The sharp-looking man is President Ting's father, the co-founder of the Imperial Guild. The students can't stop staring when they see the Imperial Guild co-leader, gawking at him like he's some exotic zoo animal. Their curiosity peaks when they see the guild co-founder and principal welcome a sleek white limo. A red-haired gentleman, Carl Cavendish, calmly steps out of the vehicle. The students freak out because anyone would recognize the World Guild Alliance's vice chairman. Someone of his status would never normally show up anywhere near this neighborhood. Inside a VIP room, the director briefs the honored guests that a total of 23 teams are taking on F-rank demon layers. Some groups selected grade E layers, while only 2 teams boldly chose D-rank layers. The Alliance Secretary, Kurid, looks genuinely surprised that students would make such a reckless decision. Normally, even a D-rank party would carefully prepare before attempting a grade D layer. She questions whether the academy truly considered the students' safety. Hearing her concern, the director calmly clarifies that the students are well aware of what they signed up for. He made it very clear that awakeners with 0 real combat experience usually struggle, even against F-rank monsters. But the real threat lies in the layer's boss, which far outclasses the weaker mobs by several levels. Many teams ultimately fail at the end, unable to overcome the boss monster. However, things are completely different inside E-rank layers. Even the most basic monsters there are as strong as an F-rank boss. That harsh reality is something students usually learn the hard way. The Alliance Secretary asks if there are any proper safeguards should the situation turn dangerous. The director reassures her that the academy deeply values its most promising assets. For student safety, a warrior from the Imperial Guild is stationed outside every layer, ready to step in if anything goes wrong. On top of that, the wristbands each student wears can instantly teleport them out if they choose to surrender or if their lives are in real danger. Hearing this, the lady remains doubtful that the academy has students talented enough to challenge a D-rank layer. She quietly wonders how long those teams can realistically hold out. The director, however, is confident that the little E-rank troublemakers will likely come running out in tears. Shifting to the D-rank dungeon filled with gigantic trees coated in thick ice, Chun's roommates are visibly terrified. Anyone would be after seeing these nightmare fuel creatures that look like bizarre bat-monkey hybrids. He quickly warns his party that those monsters dive at their targets in the blink of an eye, so they'd better keep their eyes wide open. Suddenly, a flock of the ghost monkey bats swoops down straight at them. Shockingly, all the boys manage to awkwardly dodge the monster's lightning-fast strikes, while they're still hyped about avoiding a D-rank creature's attack. Something even crazier catches their attention. Our boy stands there calmly with a lightning sword in hand, surrounded by fallen monsters at his feet. He tells his team to focus on protecting themselves for now, as they aren't strong enough yet, and to leave the rest to him. Just then, another ghost monkey bat lunges at them with supersonic speed, but they barely manage to dodge it in the nick of time. Shengzu suddenly realizes our hero had actually been pushing them to train their reflexes and explosive speed so they could handle monsters like this. Zua grits his teeth, knowing he had been calling himself the Dorm King all this time. Yet now, His Majesty has no choice but to rely on his random roommate. In the meantime, Shun completely wipes out the remaining ghost monkeys. They dive toward him in waves, but the Chad slices them down before they can even process that they got disconnected from the server. The Dorm King mumbles to himself that he'd always heard from Malong that Shun was strong, but this is the first time he's seen it firsthand. To him, Qian doesn't look like a mere grad student at all, but more like a battle-hardened soldier. As Chun's onslaught continues, the Dorm King feels a pang of jealousy over our hero's rising reputation. Out of nowhere, another monster appears behind the group, and he barely manages to block its strike. He grabs the creature's leg with his flaming hands and shouts at his teammates. He yells at them to stop acting like dead weight and get it together. Chun isn't the only one whose graduation is on the line. The others stare at him, surprised by his sudden determination. Inspired by the Dorm King's stubborn will, Shangzu casts his Flora chant, Vinelock, and successfully entangles the monkey bat. But, to his shock, the creature breaks free almost instantly, even kicking Zuo in the process. Long casts his cloud chant Frostbite Breeze, which only slows the monster slightly. So, they decide to combine their attacks. Working together, they manage to restrain the creature briefly and shout for the Dorm King to seize the chance. He charges up a nuclear burst flame bullet, which scores a direct hit, but barely leaves more than a few toasted hairs behind. He fires several more flame bullets at the monster, but nothing seems capable of putting it down. Shangzu and Long are already close to their limits. The Dorm King decides he can't afford to hold back any longer. He gathers his strength and unleashes a converged burst flame bullet straight at the monster, triggering a massive explosion. When the smoke clears, only a charred skeleton is left. The drone announces that they have successfully eliminated a D-rank ghost monkey, Bat. The trio collapses onto the ground, completely drained. They're thrilled that they managed to defeat a D-rank monster all on their own. Our boy walks over, slightly surprised, and they immediately ask if he saw them take it down. The monster leaves behind a single finger bone as loot, and Zuo casually claims that taking it down was a piece of cake. Chon offers his congratulations anyway, and the drone soon declares that all mobs inside the Devil's Cave are cleared. Watching the feed, Director Gong can't believe his eyes. Those bottom-tier students with zero real combat experience just defeated a D-level threat far beyond their abilities. The rest of the staff pointedly remains silent. Meanwhile, Vice Chairman Cavendish's assistant calmly praises Chun for his outstanding performance. He muses that Chion's aura strongly reminds him of an old friend. The vice chairman mentions Chun's name and makes a note to remember him, which immediately alarms President Ting's father and the director to move the spotlight off Xuan. The director quickly shifts their attention to the student council team inside the other D-rank cave. He points out that the team has already reached the middle section. The chairman's aide praises their teamwork, comparing their efficiency to that of a professional guild's raid party. This amuses Chairman Carl, who remarks that this year's graduates seem truly exceptional compared to previous classes. Director Gong mutters under his breath that the real battle has just begun, and the main event is yet to come. Back inside the D-rank toxic vine cavern. The president's party is swarmed by miasma poison shrooms emerging from all directions. A girl strums her guitar, unleashing an elegy of decay. As the star mage links the mushrooms with his star attraction for a coordinated strike, he then calls for the captain, and the president charges forward with his sword, ready to finish things in style. With a single swift strike, the mushroom monsters burst apart as the president unleashes his blazing sky sever with precision. His teammates notice the monsters in this school assessment are identical to the ones they fought during their training sessions. Because of this familiarity, the party handles the situation with ease, feeling no pressure at all. They'd already figured the school authorities would set up the graduation assessment. After all, having the right connections makes life a lot smoother. Believing this, they start celebrating early, completely confident they'll win the championship this year without any real challenge. Returning to the final level of the Cloud Forest, the boys are in disbelief that they've actually survived long enough to reach the Lair Lord. In the middle of a frozen wasteland, they spot a ghost ape calmly enjoying its meal. The Dorm King breaks into a cold sweat just imagining the monster's overwhelming power. One slap from that thing would probably send him straight to the great beyond. As if on cue, the creature's gaze slowly lands on the weakest member of the group. Malong freaks out and his single scream is enough to provoke the beast. The giant ape launches itself toward them in a terrifying leap. The boys sprint for their lives while Chun charges forward without a moment's hesitation. He leaps straight at its massive face with a brutal kick, then chains together a series of relentless blows, juggling its body in the air. He ends the fight by tearing it to pieces. The savage display leaves his party stunned in awe. Even so, Chun is annoyed. Not even D-rank monsters are giving him decent EXP, and the loot is disappointing too. Suddenly, he hears his teammates shouting excitedly, "They found giant mana stones." Looks like the ghost ape was hoarding them inside a hollow tree trunk. His friends practically drool over the unexpected treasure and eagerly reach out for the crystals. Chun shouts a warning, but he's a second too late. The instant their hands touch the mana stones, a blinding flash erupts. In mere seconds, the entire area is sealed in ice. Shanzu, Lo, and the drones are completely frozen by the Arctic blast. Back in the VIP room, the live broadcast abruptly cuts off. The sleazy director smirks as if he was waiting for this exact outcome. He'd expected high-rank monsters to set traps like this. It was only a matter of time before Chun and his group of amateurs stumbled into one. Vice Chairman Cavendish looks displeased, clearly concerned for the students' safety. The director feigns regret over Chan's failure, claiming there's no choice but to extract them immediately. The principal, however, disagrees. He argues they aren't in immediate danger, as their wristbands will activate if their vitals become unstable, and none of them have chosen to give up. He believes only the participants should have the right to decide when to give up. Back inside the dungeon, Malong shivers in the biting cold. He's the only one in the party who wasn't frozen, thanks to his class's high natural ice resistance. Just then, Malone hears a bone-chilling laugh and spots a skeletal ice monster staring straight into his soul. He recognizes it as the lord of this lair, recalling he'd seen it in the monster compendium. He quickly recalls it's a cloud mage, one that handles both offense and defense with ease, and manipulates ice and snow effortlessly. But he also remembers that the creature before him, which enjoys making its prey suffer for a long time, is known as the Bone King of Remains. He realizes the ice bomb was just a trap. So, without hesitation, he turns and bolts. Long knows all too well that he can't handle a C-class lord monster like this on his own. He rushes toward Chun to free him, but an ice attack strikes his leg before he can get there. The Bone King laughs at his struggle as his bracelet flashes a warning. His leg has been pierced through. It offers him the chance to forfeit the exam, but Long refuses, desperately trying to thaw Chun out before they lose their only chance. Just then, another ice shard pierces his arm, stopping him from freeing Chun. The Bone King savors the sight, watching him endure the pain as his bracelet flashes another critical damage warning. It confirms his arm has also been pierced and warns his heart rate has reached a dangerous level. It offers him the chance to forfeit again, but instead his mind slips into a flashback. He recalls that throughout his life, he always ran away at the first sign of trouble, a habit that left him in the dust every single time. He remembers being ignored, bullied, and laughed at, but he and his friends had worked too hard to get this far. He sees this as his last chance to change their fate. So he musters his last bit of strength, rises, and finally frees Chun. He stands tall as the Bone King unleashes an unrelenting barrage of icicles right at him. Just as the attack is about to land, he lets out a defiant roar as Chun's eyes snap open. The ice block shatters, and Chun dashes forward, sweeping Long out of harm's way in one swift move. This sudden escape catches the Bone King off guard. Long quickly realizes Chun broke free from the icy prison on his own after all. Chun thanks Long for his help, his voice laced with concern as he asks about his injuries. Long replies that the wounds have closed for now, so he'll be okay for the moment. He tells Chun they're up against a C-class cloud-type lord, the Bone King, warning him that it's extremely dangerous. He adds that they have to avoid being frozen again, no matter what, if they want any chance of making it out of this. They turn back to see the Bone King charging a massive cluster of ice shards, which forms into a gigantic glacier, ready to launch. Long is stunned, realizing the monster is about to drop a giant ice nuke on them. In the next instant, it crashes down, covering everything in a blinding white. The monster begins to laugh, but the sound catches in its throat when it sees they're both still, standing after that devastating attack. Chun switches his class to Doomflame King and activates Cloud Warrior Frost Body, granting him complete immunity to cold damage. The transformation also boosts all his resistances in this cold environment, turning the battlefield to his advantage. The Bone King lets out a horrified shriek. Even Long is confused, watching his friend, supposedly a vault assassin, turn into a cloud-type warrior. He wonders if Chun could be one of those rare prodigies who can awaken two different classes at once. Chun just apologizes for misjudging the situation admitting he's the one who got them into this dangerous mess. Then he switches classes again into an abyssal fiend. He draws his purgatory warrior sword and faces the Bone King, intent on ending this right here and now. His best buddy's jaw hits the floor at the sight. Normally, all Awakeners are born with just one class to specialize in, but there's an ultra-rare chance that someone might possess two classes at once. These dual classers are so rare you could count them on one hand. That kind of power makes them treasures every major guild desperately wants. However, that alone isn't what shocked him. He watched closely and realized Chan wasn't using one, not two, but three completely different classes, and on top of that, each one was in a league of its own. In his abyssal fiend form, Jun's stats surge at an insane rate. His overwhelming strength launches him from the ground like a rocket. He shoots forward with explosive momentum toward the boss, whose smug grin vanishes under our boy's menacing aura. In one clean motion, he slices the bony fiend like a knife through butter, leveling up to 17 and grabbing a rare loot drop. Staring at the shattered skeleton's remains, his friend is stunned that he just one-shot a C-rank lair lord. Our guy casually reminds him the others are still frozen solid. Malong has a sudden realization. He completely forgot about his friends during the boss fight. He sprints off to thaw the others before they turn into popsicles. After he leaves, Chon sees he has the option to devour the Frost Lich King. With no one around, he quickly absorbs the fallen lair lord and acquires the Cloud Mage class, thanks to the boss's Arctic Nova blinding every drone nearby. No one will discover his hidden ability. Then another surprise notification pops up. His Lightning Assassin class levels up too, letting him add a star to enhance one of his stats. The scene shifts to the Deer Rank lair, Gloomvine Grotto, where the council president's team is getting completely overwhelmed. No matter how hard they attack, the Deer Rank boss is too tough for these amateur Awakeners. The mage restraining the monster with chains is about to collapse, and the archer's lightning arrows feel more like a tickle than real damage. They get tossed around like cheap toys in a kid's meal box. The humiliation makes them wonder if all those combat simulations were pointless. They have never faced power anywhere near this level. The mage realizes the president is their only hope of defeating the boss. Far in the back line, the president strikes a dramatic pose, charging his ultimate skill while being buffed by support mages. With enough energy gathered, he launches himself at the boss with his blazing sword. The blade pierces its core and erupts in a storm of flames, melting it from the inside out. His teammates erupt in cheers, celebrating the rise of a legend destined for the history books. The drone announces their team cleared a Deer Rank lair in just over 30 minutes. Fired up, his party is convinced they've won first place. No other team could possibly beat that time. They exit the lair eagerly, expecting to see their names shining at the top of the rankings. They walk through hallways filled with students who surrendered and teleported out early. Most of them look traumatized, still haunted by the monsters they just encountered for the first time. The president's lackey spots our boy and his squad sitting off to the side. One look at the exhausted group makes it obvious. They must have failed the moment that they went inside. The lackey smugly walks over, mocking Chun for failing after all his bold talk earlier. The loyal follower keeps talking, but his master silences him as the Alliance vice chairman approaches. The elegant man claps slowly, congratulating the students on their spectacular performance as he walks closer. The president keeps a calm face while his underlings practically tremble standing before one of the world's most powerful figures. President Ting confidently extends his hand for a handshake.